James had always considered himself a good husband. On paper, at least, everything checked out. He had a stable job, a nice home, and a marriage that, while no longer fiery, was steady as a ship on calm waters. But calm waters, he'd come to realize, often masked dangerous undercurrents. It had all started so harmlessly. A late-night scroll on his phone turned into idle curiosity. His wife, Meia, had gone to bed early, as she often did these days, exhausted from juggling work, household responsibilities, and raising their son. James loved her, of course, but in moments of solitude, he couldn't help but notice the widening emotional distance between them. They rarely spent time together anymore, and when they did, conversation felt like an obligation rather than something he looked forward to. So when he came across an online chat room one night, it felt innocent enough. He wasn't looking for an escape per se, just a distraction, a way to fill the growing void. That's where he met Sofia. Sofia was everything that James felt had been missing from his life. She was witty, full of energy, and most importantly, seemed genuinely interested in him, something he hadn't felt in a while. Their conversations became an almost nightly routine, starting innocently enough with jokes and funny stories, but soon delving into deeper, more intimate territory. Before he knew it, weeks had turned into months. James found himself looking forward to their exchanges more than he looked forward to coming home some days. Their connection was exhilarating, intoxicating even. She saw him, admired him, made him feel like a version of himself he hadn't seen in years. And then, one night, Sofia suggested they meet in person. He hesitated. Despite their increasingly flirtatious exchanges, James had never seen himself as that guy, the sort of person who cheats on his wife. Up until now, everything had existed behind a screen, separate from his real life. Meeting her would cross a line, and James knew it, but the thought of it tempted him. What would it hurt to simply meet her just once? To see the face behind the texts that so often left him smiling before falling asleep? That's how, on an otherwise ordinary Tuesday evening, he found himself sitting in a quiet corner of a nearby upscale cafe, nervously glancing at the door every few seconds. He had told Meia he was working late, a lie that had come out of his mouth far too easily. His heart raced with equal parts anticipation and guilt as he checked his watch for the third time. "She's running late," he muttered under his breath, sipping the coffee he'd ordered to calm his nerves. And then he saw her. A woman walked in, dressed sharply, in a way that radiated confidence. She scanned the room, her demeanor cool but searching, and locked eyes with him. It was her, Sofia, exactly as she'd described herself. Mid-30s, auburn hair, wearing a blue blouse that popped against her fair complexion. James's hands tightened around his coffee cup as she smiled and stepped closer. "James?" Her voice was even more enchanting in person, soft and warm, yet commanding attention. He stood, fumbling awkwardly. "Yes, hi, Sofia." She smiled knowingly, as though she could sense his nerves. "Nice to finally meet you," she said, setting her purse on the table before taking a seat across from him. James exhaled, letting himself relax just a bit. "You're even more stunning in person," he blurted before he could stop himself. She laughed, a genuine laugh that instantly set him at ease. "You're sweet," she said, resting her chin on her hand. "I wasn't sure if you'd actually go through with this." "Neither was I," he admitted, chuckling nervously. They fell into conversation easily, just as they always had online. James was so engrossed, enthralled even, that he didn't notice the cafe door swing open behind him. "James?" Her voice. That voice stopped him cold. It was Meia. Time seemed to freeze as James turned toward the sound, praying he was imagining things. But no, there she was, his wife, standing just inside the cafe, her expression shifting from confusion to shock as her eyes landed on him and Sofia. His stomach dropped. The color drained from his face. Every escape route was suddenly blocked by the tidal wave of realization. There was no talking his way out of this. Sofia's brows furrowed, taken aback. "Wait, who is she?" she asked slowly, though the dawning look of understanding on her face revealed she already knew the answer. "Meia, you weren't supposed to—" James stammered, feeling like a trapped animal. "Who is she, James?" Mia's voice cracked, and her eyes darted towards Sofia. "Who is this?" Sofia stood, her own expression taut. "I think I should go," she murmured, grabbing her purse as tension overtook the room. "No, no," Meia shot back, her voice firm now, which caught both Sofia and James off guard. "Don't leave. If you came all this way to meet my husband, the least you can do is explain why." James felt his world crumbling faster than he could process it. His mind scrambled for damage control, but all he could manage was, "Meia, please, let me explain." "Explain what?" she interrupted sharply, her eyes blazing. "That you've been sneaking behind my back? That you lied about working late to meet some woman?" People were starting to stare, but Meia didn't seem to care. James felt utterly exposed, as though the walls of his carefully constructed facade were tumbling down in full view of everyone. Sofia, to her credit, looked equally stunned. "I didn't know," she said quickly, turning to Meia. "I swear to you, I didn't know he was married." Both women turned their glares on James, who wanted nothing more than to disappear into the floor. "Meia, it's not what you think," he lied, though he barely believed himself. "Stop it," she snapped, tears of anger brimming in her eyes. "Don't insult me, James. Whatever this is, whatever you thought you were doing, were we really this easy to throw away?" Her words stung more than anything else could have. She turned without waiting for a response, muttering, "I'll see you at home, if you even bother to come back." And just like that, she was gone. James remained frozen, staring at the door long after it slammed shut. He wanted to chase after her, beg for forgiveness, but he couldn't even summon the strength to move. He was paralyzed by shame, regret, and the realization of what he'd just jeopardized. Sofia broke the silence, her voice distant. "You didn't tell me you were married." James looked at her, the weight of his actions settling in his chest like a stone. "I'm sorry," he said. I didn't mean for this to happen." But the apology felt hollow, even to his own ears. Meaning well, didn't erase the choices he had made over the past few months, all of which had led to this moment. "I think we're done here," Sofia said simply. Without another word, she turned and left, leaving James alone at the table. Weeks passed, and for James, they were some of the hardest of his life. Meia didn't leave him, but she didn't forgive him either. Their house was thick with silence, the kind that suffocated any hope of normalcy. He tried again and again to apologize, to explain, but the words always felt inadequate. He had wanted connection, validation, an escape from the monotony of routine, but in chasing those fleeting feelings, he had nearly destroyed his marriage. Now, every day was a struggle to rebuild the trust he had broken. One evening, Meia finally said something that stuck with him more than anything else. "I needed you, James," she said quietly, her voice heavy with exhaustion. "I needed you, and instead of turning toward me, you turned away. Do you even realize what that does to someone?" He hadn't, at least not until then, but he promised himself and her that he would spend the rest of his life making it up to her. Only time would tell if that promise was enough.